All right, let's dive into something pretty interesting today. We're looking at Lil Wayne, obviously a giant in hip-hop. He just hit a big moment releasing Ty Carter VI, the next part of that iconic series. But it wasn't just the album drop. On the very same night, he launched his tour, sold-out show, Madison Square Garden. So we've gathered some source material covering both sides of this, how people felt about the new music, and then separately, what that live experience was actually like. Our mission here is really to unpack this fascinating contrast we're seeing. How did fans react to Ty Carter VI versus how did they react to seeing him perform, basically, his greatest hits live? And what does that maybe tell us about artist longevity and how they connect with our audience now?
Yeah, it's a really compelling sort of duality the sources point to. Let's start with the album itself, Ty Carter VI. Okay, so it landed June 6, 2025. That's, 7 years after Carter V. So the sixth main one in the series. It's pretty substantial, 19 tracks. And the features are quite diverse. You've got Bono, Jelly Roll, but also his sons, Cameron and Lil Novi, which is interesting. Production-wise, too, it's broad. Manny Fresh, Boy Wonder are there, but also Wyclef Jean, even Lin-Manuel Miranda, apparently. But the reception from fans, well, the material we looked at shows it was decidedly mixed, really mixed. Online, you saw some real praise, people saying things like, it's his best album since I am not a human being, too. You remember that one? Others felt it was, quote, unapologetically Lil Wayne, in a good way, and some were just weird album, and I fast can love it, embracing the oddness maybe. But then you have just as much, maybe even more, strong criticism. A lot of fans felt the beat selection was poor, no real cohesion, describing it as all over the show, and some even brought up that tough idea that maybe, it's Wayne's time, suggesting he should retire, that everyone falls off eventually, sentiment. So the sources really show this clear split among the fan base about the new stuff.
Right, so you've got the album dropping, stirring up all these different feelings, some pretty strong negatives in there too. But then, like you said, same night, June 6th, he kicks off the tour, and it's MSG, completely packed. The articles we read really paint the picture of just, electric energy in there, sold out. And Wayne apparently came out looking, pure Wayne, right? Blonde dreads, pink sweats tucked into boots, that big Britney Spears shirt everyone noticed, and just, tons of ice. Tribute jewelry. But here's a contrast the sources kept hitting on. The show wasn't really about the new album. It was described over and over as a time machine, like a speed run through his massive catalog, apparently playing the hits almost chronologically, which is interesting. So you're getting the big Billboard hits everyone knows, but also those classic mixtape tracks, the ones deep fans love, that are hard to find now because of samples. And the significance that the sources point out is how this kind of show is more than just a concert. Especially maybe for younger fans who are trying to grasp his huge impact over decades. It's like a living history lesson.
It represents whole eras, eras of music, eras of people's lives tied to a sound. And they even compared him to the Rolling Stones, how these legacy acts keep touring successfully by really leaning into that huge back catalog, letting the audience relive that shared history through the music.
Exactly. And if we sort of synthesize those two things, the mixed album reaction and the successful tour launch, the contrast really tells a story about maybe artist longevity. That Carter VI, even though sources acknowledge Wayne's lyrical skill is still there, it faced criticism on its creative direction, the production, fragmented reactions. The MSG show, though, huge success, celebrated. Why? Because the focus was almost entirely on the past, on the hits everyone loves. It strongly suggests that for these massive legacy artists, the live show serves a bit of a different function now. It's maybe less about pushing the brand new thing and more about that shared history, that nostalgia, tapping into the power of hearing those beloved songs live together with thousands of other people. It recreates something. One source even kind of provocatively suggested the album might just be a glorified excuse to tour. Making that Stones comparison again, their Voodoo Lounge album got mixed reviews, but the tour was massive. So this difference between the album reception and the live show celebration really shows, the distinct value fans put on experiencing that legacy live versus engaging with the very latest creative output.
So yeah, we end up with this picture. That Carter VI, a lot of debate, divided opinions, versus the MSG show. Pure celebration, electrifying atmosphere, all built on his past work. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What does this whole dynamic imply? When you see such a difference between how new music is received versus the huge success of a show celebrating the catalog, what does that really tell you about how we connect with artists who've been around for decades? Does that shared history, that experience of the legendary stuff, does it now kind of overshadow the need or maybe even the desire for something totally groundbreaking and new from artists at that stage? Just something to mull over as you think about the artists who've scored your own life.